I really can't afford to buy a house right now. That's what you get for buying all that avocado toast in Starbucks. I don't eat avocado toast or drink coffee. Well, you should have gone to school to get a better job. I have a master's degree and a six-figure paying job. Okay, well, no one said you had to go to college. Okay, you had to get an apprenticeship. Now you're in all that student loan debt. I worked my way through college and I have no student loan debt. Then if you don't have any money, it's because you're not saving it correctly. Most of my capital is in investments, cryptos, and savings. I spend less than 10% of the money I get, as most of it either goes to rent or savings. I'm worth $250,000 and I can't buy a house. It's because you like socialism. Fuck you.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We got another great video today talking about the housing market. The housing market is completely trash, especially for Gen Z and the younger millennials. A lot of the older generation thinks that we're lazy, we don't want to work, we have spending problems, and it's absolutely not that. We did everything we were told to do. We graduated from high school, we went to college, we put off marriage, we put off kids, all this delayed gratification, and now we can't even purchase a house, which is something that is considered a part of the American dream. So let's hear other people rant and rave about it so that we can understand we're not alone. We're all suffering together. So continue watching the video. Let me know your thoughts.
Welcome to a game called Guess How Much It Is Now. This video goes out to all the greedy, delusional house flippers and corporations in my area who are buying houses like this and doing too much. So this is a photo of a house in Beacon, New York, about 55 miles north of New York City, and it was taken in 2019. Here's a quick look at the other houses in the neighborhood. You see it's your typical small northeastern town. And a year later, the house was sold to someone or something for $260,000. And this is what it looks like now. And as you can see, whoever or whatever bought it gutted it completely and started over. Here's some pictures of the inside. You can see completely redone. It's giving midlife crisis, recently divorced. And here's the fun part. Shocker, it's on the market again after all of these renovations. And I want you to guess how much they put it on the market for.
Put down in the comments how much you think it's worth now. If it was like 255 in 2020, I'm gonna say it's probably worth about 475. I don't want to go over 500. I feel like that would really be OD. I know the housing prices have increased like 40%. So I'm going to go with 475. Put in the comments what you think. No cheating. I haven't seen how much it is yet, but
I'll
let's
give
see.
you 2 seconds. You're wrong. The answer is $1.25 million. Yep. Uh-huh. That's what I said.
Oh my goodness. My mouth actually hit the floor. Like, what do the Brits say? Are you actually mental? Like, that's crazy. That's financial abuse. And I hope nobody ever
I
buys
am
it.
so tired of hearing what boomers have to say about what young people should be doing in the housing market today. The boomers on Twitter are all yelling about how no one buys starter homes anymore. We all want 5-bed, 5-bath houses as our first homes. And of course, everyone is telling them, like, in a lot of places, this is $500,000 now. Like, starter home prices don't exist for a lot of people. And that is true. But the point I want to make is people are not buying starter homes at starter home ages. The average age of a first-time home buyer this year is 35. Boomers were buying their starter homes in their 20s and then they upgraded in their 30s. But the median number of years that people buying their first home today expect to live in that home is 18 years. And by definition, a starter home is one that has like 2, maybe 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. And again, we're buying these homes in our 30s. So it's not just a house we're living in for 3-4 years while we're roughing it, while we have 1 baby, and by the time we have 2 or 3 kids, we can move up to the house with 3 or 4 bedrooms. You're acting like we're all spoiled brats, that we don't want to spend $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 for a 1-bathroom home that we're going to have to raise a family in forever. And I know people across the world raise families in spaces much tinier than this, but just to act like young people are just entitled and are like too good to buy something like this is insane, when the actual reason is We're all in our 30s, and we are planning to buy the only house we expect to ever be able to afford. Boomers were shopping for this at age 27, and they knew at age 31 they could go buy their 5-bedroom house.
No one's talking about this old man's audacity.
How much did y'all pay for y'all's first house?
$37,000 for it.
Wait,
$1,000?
wait
But
for it.
that was in 1980.
80?
But that was in 1980, as if that means something. Did a quick conversion, and $37,000 in 1980 is $147,000 in 2024. I don't have to explain to you what a dream $147K for a home would be, because you already know. Then he does a little neck snap and walks away.
But that was in
Neck
1980.
snap,
80?
walks
How
away.
do you feel?
But then listen to the lady behind him.
I'm the mother-in-law.
How much was your first house?
My first house was $16,000.
So she paid $16,000 and was the generation before him because she's the mother-in-law. So let's just say that was 1950 she bought this home. If we're going by inflation, in 2024 that still is $207K. However, my generation will never own a home. The average home sale price in my neighborhood is over $500,000. That is 400% more than what this boomer paid. And it's well over double than the generation before him paid. Yet they don't want to help us. Yet they don't say that they were the ones that caused this. Yet they still point the finger at us for not getting out of our parents' basement. You guys are just lazy.
But that was in 1980.
80?
This is how they think. But that was in 1980. It doesn't matter. You see how they think? Shit is infuriating.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Everything about that couple just pissed her off. The people in the comments are funny too. Somebody said, "What did these random people do that was so wrong?" Don't get mad at Gramps. He just answered the question. She was like, "The audacity of that old man." And somebody was like, "The audacity for what? Being born in the 60s?" Like, I understand she's kind of like, putting off her anger toward these old people. However, I get it though. You have to be mad at somebody because at the end of the day, it isn't fair. It's not the same. We don't have the same fights. We don't have the same struggles. Granted, we don't have war drafts anymore. There's give and take. We live longer. We have a better quality of life. But I get what she's saying. Like, it is completely different from what they were going through when they were our age. And I get it. You got to be pissed off at somebody. Just like the other lady was saying, we can't afford starter homes because we're buying homes so much later. So we're not doing it at 25 anymore. We're buying houses at 35 where we already have several kids. We need multiple rooms, multiple bathrooms. We need a house to grow into. We don't, want to downsize and spend all this money and be paying, be having less room than we started off in an apartment. It has to make sense. Something's going to give. Not sure what or when, but I'm definitely waiting for it.
We will never have affordable housing in this country again because people have built their wealth on real estate. People will need to lose their homes, lose their investments, lose value in the homes in order for us to have affordable housing. And this is a rough conversation to have because we all have friends who've invested in real estate. Our parents own homes. Our grandparents own homes. We're all being taught to build wealth through real estate, but that directly leads to the housing crisis that we have already arrived at, that we've been at for over a decade. I remember growing up seeing Fox News talking about class warfare, but it's like we working class people, the ones who are the have-nots, we did not ask for class warfare. We asked for our fair share. You took it all. So now if we have to take it back, that might lead to some class warfare. But really, whose fault was that? Whose fault was that? And it's not even the people who wanted to invest in real estate. Why is there no government national housing option for people who just want a $90,000, $100,000 home? And you might be saying, oh, that's a shack. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. The cost of materials to build a home, the land to build a home, not that expensive in a lot of places. In a lot of places it is. But we have to be honest about this. When we're all talking about let's build wealth and build triplexes and rent out things, you want to be a landlord? You want to hoard land when people can't afford housing, when there's homeless people everywhere? I understand. We're worried. We don't have generational wealth to pass on. For sure. But we will be adding to the problem by continuing to invest in real estate. This whole country, most of the wealth in this country is built off of investing in real estate and starting businesses that then sell for like millions, billions. Affordable housing will bring down the prices of everyone's houses. So that's what's gonna need to happen.
The housing market has become so unaffordable for most Americans over the past 4 years, and I want to show you what happened. In February of 2020, the average house in this country was $275,000. If you put a 10% down payment and got a 3.52% interest rate, your principal and interest was $1,114 plus $500 for property tax and insurance, puts your payment out the door at $1,614. The average American only needed about $50,000 in a salary with very little debt to qualify for the average home in America. That was awesome, the American dream. Now in February of 2022, the average home went up to about $350,000, 10% down, but the interest rates were still 3.73%. So principal and interest was $1,455 plus about $600 for property tax and homeowner insurance, put your payment out the door at $2,055. So you needed about $65,000 in a salary with very little debt to qualify. Still very doable. Now let's fast forward to current day, February 2024. Home prices have shot up to $415,000, 10% down payment. Interest rates are 6.75%, $2,423 principal and interest, $700 for property tax and homeowners insurance. Now you're looking at $3,123. So now you need about $95,000 to qualify if you have very little debt. So if you look at the down payments over the year, it's gone up only about $14,000, $15,000, which is a lot, but also doable in 4 years. But what really pinched Americans is how many individuals went from $50,000 to almost $100,000 in salary in just 4 years. That's why so many Americans can't afford a home right now.
Okay, so I'm just checking. We're all unable to buy a house right now, right? Like, I'm not the only one who runs the numbers every single day and looks at the budget and is just like, there is no way on earth that this is potentially feasible for me. Like, I'm working with two very average incomes. They're not great incomes, but they're fine incomes. Incomes that 10 years ago probably would have meant that we could buy a house. I digress. Anyway, we pay rent so that we can live somewhere, because when we got out of college, we had to rent so we could theoretically save money to eventually buy a home. Except rent is so astronomical that we are actually not able to save for a home. Even still though, like, we don't pay as much in rent as I know other people do. We don't live in a huge city. It's somewhat affordable, even though I still think it's ridiculous. Compared to other people, it's still affordable. Okay, so subtracting that from what we bring home a month, like, yeah, there's still some money left. Except that somehow, no matter what I do, because we've cut back on everything, we've cut back on groceries, eating out, we haven't actually traveled in a while. I have a freaking coffee machine at home, so I don't buy coffee out of the house. I will admit.
Sir, we need to talk about the housing crisis.
What's wrong with the housing market?
Nobody can afford a home, son! What are we gonna do?
I have a house.
You're rich. Most Americans don't even make enough to live alone.
Sounds like a hard work problem. Tell them to work harder, longer, get a fourth job, and maybe they can get a house.
Sir, there's not enough time in a day for 4 jobs. Why don't we build more houses to regulate supply and demand so housing prices make more sense?
No. Instead of doing that, send all the money to other countries.
But sir, what about the homeless people?
And then bring those people from those other countries here.
Why?
And put them in the houses we don't have available for our own citizens.
Understood, but sir, what's the point of all of this? What are we accomplishing here?
Are you not understanding that back in 2001, only 18% of corporation-owned households?
So then what?
Now, 50% of corporation-owned households.
Okay, businesses bought all the houses, but what does that mean?
That means we have successfully turned the housing market from a consumer good into another moneymaker.
How do you benefit off of homelessness, sir?
Control.
How do you establish control?
Fear and worry.
What about the people that don't fear you, sir?
We make them angry.
What does that do, sir?
To whom the gods would destroy, they would first make mad. Let them get angry. Let them fear and worry about becoming homeless. That way they
can't focus on what's really going on. No one's paying attention.
Exactly.
Sir, you're a genius!
No one's going.
That video was hilarious because that's probably exactly what our government is doing to us, right in our faces, and there's not much that we're doing about it. Honestly, something that I've come to terms with that's hard to admit, but for my generation, Gen Z, and the younger millennials, we have to come to the realization that we are now considered the have-nots, which is very difficult to come to the understanding of because we were raised in a household that were the haves. And as we've gotten older and had to detach from our parents who were the haves, we now branch off go to school, do more than what our parents even had to fathom doing, just to, at the end of the day, sit there and look at our paychecks and what the lifestyle we can afford with it and realize we are now the have-nots. Like, our parents always told us, you don't want to be like this person. Look at what they did. Do the opposite in life so that you can afford your own. You can raise your family. You could do this and that. And now you think, wow, I'm really the people that they told me not to be, even though I did everything they required me to do. So, hey, laugh about it so you don't cry. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. I'll see you in the next video.